Gotten a chance to know the Pontiffs at all, and what's your knowledge of this, holding back?
Wally Sr. has been really supportive to me since I got here. I mean, literally from the press conference, and stayed in touch, and obviously very familiar with how good a player Wally Jr. was here. National champion player, all SEC player. He was part of the 2000 national championship team. Was one of the best LSU teams in history. It's hard to maybe separate those, and what the cause is for is awesome. Raising money for charities throughout Louisiana, and we're excited to be able to do it again this year and be a part of that.
Coach, two-part question on the Jobert thing from the game Saturday. What did the umps on the field tell you? And the second part, have you heard anything from the SEC office regarding that?
Yeah, second part first. Haven't heard anything from them. As far as the play, the umpire behind home plate was the same umpire that had called the Florida player out a couple weeks ago against Florida State. So, we were aware of that. And then I could kind of see it kind of happening. I actually stepped out of the dugout and was trying to get his attention to call timeout. The at-bat before, I actually kind of went like this for Braden to get back in the box. I think I guess the rule's a rule. I think baseball feel that's a tough call at a tough time in the game. And that was not happy about that. The part I didn't see was the third base umpire, coming down to be the one to enforce it. I kind of had my focus on the plate guy, and then I couldn't get his attention, and then Braden had his foot in the box, and then he took it back out, and then as soon as he took it back out, they got him. So really, really unfortunate play. They give a warning for the pitcher, on the 22nd clock. They don't give a warning for the hitter. I think they should. I think that would be my change to that rule.
Just, I guess, takeaways from this weekend. Obviously, it didn't go the way you guys wanted it to, but just what's the message? What's the big takeaway from this?
Yeah, I mean, the big takeaways, they're good. They've won like 12 or 14 SEC home series in a row, and it's probably close to a modern day record. I think, you have to play clean to beat those teams at the top of the league, and they're number one team in the country last year. In Omaha in 19. Yeah, I'm sure they were off to a good start in 20, and they were catching a pop-up away from being the national champion in 18. So, big picture, it's like, hey, we got to close the gap in terms of recruiting talent from a starting pitching perspective. There's a difference, from athleticism and defense. There's a perspective. In the short term, though, I want our guys to be able to do the things within the game that give us a chance to win. I thought we were just getting completely dominated to start the game on Thursday from the mound, and found a way to get the lead. And then, our pitchers came in and did a good job, and they weren't errors, but we didn't make a couple of those plays. And then on the flip side, it's like battles, Wallace and Moore are just taking away hits left and right. It's a tough deal, but then we got ourselves back in position to take the lead in the eighth, which I was like, all right, now we're starting to form a real competitive character, and then we hit into a double play. And, good bullpen. Tygart is one of the best relievers in the country. So that was kind of Thursday. Friday, very disappointed. They completely dominated us in each phase of the game. It was only 4-0. It felt like it was 100-0. And then Saturday, I thought we did a good job off Jackson Wiggins. The first pitch of the game was 99 miles an hour. Put together some hits. Bases loaded, first inning. We need Josh Pearson to move the ball right there, and he struck out looking. And then subsequent innings, Braden struck out looking with guys on first and second, and then we got the call on that one with first and second. So we just didn't separate. When we had a chance to separate, I'm going to credit their pitching and their defense a little bit for that. But that's kind of the difference in that game. Grant Taylor has been really good for us, and I'm really, really high on him. That's the first time all year that I think the situation kind of became a little bigger than him. He'll learn from that, and he'll be right back out there in a key spot probably tomorrow night. And then as far as moving forward, that's the key is outside of I mean, there's only 3 teams that have 9 or more wins right now. And so it's kind of, we're all kind of lumped up there in the middle, and it's going to be about keeping the players in the right headspace and improving, in terms of handling the ball, in terms of doing a better job against the better pitchers in the league offensively. And pitching, like I said, I mean, it's a good offense. It was a tough park. For the most part, those guys did a pretty good job again. And so they just got to continue to throw strikes and put us in position. Outside of the 3 games where we've kind of separated the score, every game has been winnable or losable. And so, we just got to kind of keep going.
Going off of that, what was the conversation like with your players, and if you could just pinpoint maybe some positives after this weekend?
Yeah, get to the next game. We're playing a very good team, a very disruptive team tomorrow night, and so we have to be sharp, with how we play tomorrow. That's the focus. In terms of positives, they made Mikhail work, but he got us in position to come back and take the lead. I think he would have been on line for the win, actually, had we, held it, because we scored to go ahead the inning we took him out of the game. I thought those guys that came in the game Friday night did a really good job. I mean, they got the weak contact that we needed, and, I thought that was good. I thought Blake, outside of the home runs, pitched pretty well. I thought Sam did a great job, not a good job, did a great job yesterday outside the walk to open up the 5th. I thought we got some good swings off on Jackson Wiggins. We didn't get the one after we set the table. And, there's a lot of reasons for that. You guys have asked me about that a little bit. I think that we get a lot of guys on base, I mean, as a good offensive team, so you are going to leave a few more. I think, we just got to get some better at bats out of kind of what I would call that. I won't call them the second tier player on our team. Doesn't mean they're a second tier player, but as you get more depth in the order, we need some of those guys to move the ball a little bit better, and they know it, and we'll keep working on it. So it's hard to kind of look at that stuff when your competitor like myself or staff and our players, but there are some good things. That's why it continues to go back to how we play, not who we play. In our league, we can beat anybody and we can be beat by anybody. And so focusing on the play and keeping the players in the right frame of mind is going to be the only pathway to success.
What goes into practicing like the timely hitting, like getting the right hit at the right time, and then, do you attribute some of like leaving those runners on base like to maybe the way you frame the lineup, or?
Well, yeah, I mean, if I could have Jacob Dillon come up the bat every inning, I would. There's no doubt about that. But, we put a lot of thought into that. I think at some point, it gets to, like, again, you have to move the ball. And like I said, I mean, for me, it's not just leaving them out there. It's a strikeout looking in the first, and then it's a weird umpire call in the 3rd, and then it's a strikeout looking in the 5th or 4th, whatever it was. And so, 2-strike hitting is a big foundational piece of what we're trying to do, and just get back to work on it. I mean, and the thing is, like, we're not so deep where it's just like, okay, bring this guy in. You know what I mean? Like, the guys that are scuffling a little bit have to provide a better at bat, and we'll provide the coaching for them to try to do that better.
You don't play a home game, I think, out of the state until like May. I think that away series at
It's
Alabama.
amazing. I love it.
What's the benefit of that? I guess, for you guys?
For me, it's a couple things. I think, when I first looked at the schedule, there was 2 things that jumped out. Was the road opponents, and we're through 3 of those 5, and then there was this kind of back-to-back, national champ and the number 1 national seed, and then it's a compressed because the Easter thing. So I think it's going to be really good for us to be back at home. The other thing that goes missing is, we're constant. I'm talking about the play and developing and improving. Good players can do that anytime, but it certainly helps to be at home and to be able to, pull, a player in, on an evening and get in work in the cage or in the morning or on the infield and those types of things. So it kind of allows us to get back to that, and I'm really excited about that.
When we talk about the Friday night starter, it's always been like the Aaron Nola, the Alex Lang, the guy who throws, fire and all that. Is McHale kind of changing how you can approach that? He can go out there on a Friday and do what he does?
We need the next Aaron Nola or Alex Lang or Ben McDonald I could go on and on. Like, we got to get those caliber of pitchers back here. With that being said, McHale's doing an awesome job. I mean, he's given us a chance to win. And, that's the one piece where you go like, okay, we're going to get 6 innings out of him and we're going to be in the ball game. And I don't expect that to change. So if we want to get to where we want to get to, there's no pathway without those players. I mean, in terms of just raw talent, it was like a 300-pound offensive line versus a 240-pound defensive line in terms of the 2 starting rotations. They're going to rush for 300 yards. So we need to get that back. With that being said, there's no indictment on it. We can win every game that McHale pitches, and that's a good place to be.
Injury updates on Gavin, Alex Milazzo, and
I hate answering these questions only just because I want to keep the focus of the guys that are on the field. I texted with Alex Saturday night as we were waiting for our plane. We obviously need to get him back, but he can do just about everything but catch, and so that's tough when that's his skill set. So we'll see. I haven't seen him. We're past that 2-week mark, it'll be the 2-week mark on Tuesday from when I guess he re-aggravated it, and that was kind of a key evaluation time. Gavin swung the bat yesterday, felt good about it. We are going to crank up the intensity of, whether it be live at bat or machine with velocity to see how effective he can be while swinging the bat. And who was the other one? I'm sorry.
I think that was it.
Okay. Yeah, they both want to play, and you guys have known them all longer than I have. They care deeply about making a positive contribution to this thing. So we need them too. We definitely could use both of them.
On the Braden Jobert, what is the rule specifically, if you could explain it?
Well, it equals the pitcher one of the 20-second clock.
Okay.
The difference between the pitcher is the pitcher gets a warning, where the hitter does not get a warning. That doesn't really make sense to me. He was fine until he kind of took his foot back out of the box a second time. And, at the same time, Braden's trying to put together good at-bats. And I talked with him game before game 2 about just kind of getting himself back under control in terms of his mindset and routine. And he got a pinch hit walk on Friday. And then Saturday, he got a base hit in his first at-bat, first one in a while, and thought he was in tune with that. So I know he was trying to deliberately keep himself focused. I don't know the dynamic between him and the umpire, relative to the first at-bat. I did see him motion like 3 times to try to get him back in there. The first at-bat, I was actually going like this, like, make sure you get back in the box. The second at-bat, I tried to step out of the dugout and call timeout. And I understand the rule. I don't think that was a good time for it to be enforced. And I let the umpires know that, and it is what it is.
So they think some of the games are getting long and they're trying to shave down the time, but are they compromising things in exchange, I guess, is the question that some people have.
I think so. You change with the times, I've always been hesitant. To try to force the issue on anything. These are high-level games with high-level players. Sometimes they're going to go quick because 2 pitchers are going to go out there and get people out. Okay, and at other times there's good offenses. It's day baseball. The weather gets warmer. It's windy. You got to make a pitching change just to hang on for your life, and that's our team right now. So, when the next Aaron Nola and Alex Lang show up, I'm all for winning in 2 hours and 25 minutes, but I'm not going to compromise, winning so some stat can be a little cleaner as far as game times. I'm just not going to do that.
Is that pace of play more of like the West Coast kind of side?
No,
the timeouts,
we need to win. We need to win with 5 or 6 pitchers, and so we have to make more pitching changes to do that, to match up. You know, I mean, last year I had the same Friday and Saturday starter from wire to wire the entire season, and you know, we'll get there. We'll get there with that. But for right now, like I said, I mean, I'd rather win in 6 hours than lose in 2.5.
Do you know who's starting tomorrow night?
No.
This is random. This is random. I've heard you reference football a few times, and like, what is the relation? Are you a football fan? Like, do you kind of relate the sports together, or is that just?
You know, I mean, my dad was my high school football coach. I was a much better football player than baseball player. You know, I like the game. It's a tough man's game. I think, you know, there's some things you can relate, and there's some things that are completely unrelatable. But, you know, people seem to care about football a lot around here, so maybe as I speak in those terms, it can help them understand maybe what's really happening. I don't know.
Attention grabber.
All right.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.